Hi everybody, it's Owen from farfaway.org. Just going to run through a battle report for a game myself and Phil played last night. This is a 35 point game, and for once we've actually switched roles, so I'm using Circle and Phil's using Kaya2. This is a chance for me to try out the proxy Circle force that I built over the last while, even if trying to virtually on Vassal. So we're playing the sacrifice scenario here, so the goal of this mission is to control the zone so that the large area down the bottom left there, and have something in base-to-base contact with the flag. If you score a point, then whatever's in contact with the flag gets blasted back 3 inches, takes a POW 20 magic hit, and is knocked down. So it's a fairly tough thing to try and do. So in terms of my force in the top left there, you can see them deployed there. This is a tier 1 Kaya2 list. So in the regular deployment zone at the 20-inch line, you can see Kaya, Laris, Druid Wilder, and there's 2 Warwolves. In terms of the rest of my battle group then, you can see them, they're advanced deployed, that's the tier 1 benefit. There are 2 Stalkers, Pure Blood. I have 2 units of Stones, one of which has the Stonekeeper attachment. Phil's army is led by Butcher1. It's very hard to see the different troops there with the bases. He has a full unit of Winter Guard with the UA. Kovnik Joe's in there somewhere. Alexi and the Risen, that's the rest of the small red bases, are also there. There are 5 Demo Corps. There's a Kodiak in the back there. And of course there's the gun carriage. So Phil had turn 1. And here you can see his army. They pushed out and just basically moved forward fairly aggressively. So nothing too spectacular. I think he just camped and ran as well. So there wasn't a whole lot going on. Remember that the Kodiak gets to run for free, so that's why Butcher's still sitting on his 6 focus there. So on my turn, I pushed back. I basically got everything moving forward. Tried to ensure I was generating enough fury, which is something I made a couple of mistakes on during the game. Certainly at one point I didn't generate enough fury. The stones up towards the top, my vision is that if I got a good position on the scenario, that they could move into base contact and basically be taking the POW 20 hit. Just trying to get things set up to go against Phil's horde. On his turn then, he used the gun carriage to put a couple of shots my way. He managed to take out one of the stones, so the top AoE that's in place there was a stone centered on that. Remember that they remain in play as rough terrain, not really affecting the models that are up there. I think he did a small bit of damage to the Stalker, and as you can see, didn't damage the stone. He rolled really poorly there. Now we start to get some of his upkeeps out, so he definitely put out Iron Flesh, and I think Fury's out there as well, so he maybe got them out last turn. Yeah, he got them out last turn. They're just upkept. So it's Iron Flesh onto the Winter Guard. So with Bob and Weave and Iron Flesh, they're up to ridiculous defense. So I had to find a way to deal with that. And then Fury on the Demo Corps really gives them some very significant damage output, particularly with the backswing. So my army seems to have sprung back into an odd position. So this obviously was Kaya's feat turn. So if you don't know what Kaya2's feat is, basically she allows all of her beasts to be forced outside of her control area. I think they charge or slam for free, but they can do that with her anyway. But the most significant thing is once they're completed their activation, they come back to within 3 inches of her. So obviously to get the feat up, you need to go first. As you can see, I have a stone up in contact with the scoring flag, so I reckoned I had a shot at clearing the zone. Phil only had a few Winter Guard in there. They had ridiculous defense, so I actually put quite a lot of effort into trying to take them out. I think I needed 11s with my beast to hit them. Boosting, I just didn't get the dice. So 2 guys stayed alive in there, so that kind of forced my hand somewhat. The one big thing you'll see missing is the battle engine. I managed to get the top warp of Stalker into it and smash into it. So this turn was an awful lot of fury management. I really put an awful lot of fury out there. And as you can see, it looks like I'm running a bit hot there at the moment. I mean, Kaya has one, Laris has one. There's 2 in a Stalker and 4 in the other Stalker. So that totals 8. Obviously she only has a fury stat of 6. But I can use a soothing ability of the stones at the start of my next turn. The Pure Blood I think was fully loaded as well, and I used the Druid Wilder to take the fury off him. So while ran really hot, didn't manage to just about pull it back. I don't think the Pureblood was fully loaded actually. I think I only put 2 on him, just as it turned out. So here's Phil pushing forward. His plan here was to kind of get that front line of Winter Guard up. He upkept the spells obviously, and started spraying into my army, trying to do a bit of damage because I'm fairly clustered up there. A couple of things plinked the Stalker beside the silo there, but didn't do a huge amount of damage to it. So not a whole lot changed. As you can see, managed to hit the Werewolf that's down the bottom, but didn't manage to kill it. So my turn kind of went fairly okay here. I mean, it's not ideal. I mean, my force doesn't deal with Phil's army particularly well. So one of the things I wanted to do is to try and get rid of the UA, specifically the leader for the Winter Guard. And I noticed, if we just flick back to the previous one, if you see where sorry about that. If you see where the Werewolf is, I reckoned I could get the Pureblood a slam into him, and the slam would push him right through into, well, if I rolled any decent distance, right through into a couple of things. So pulled off that plan, obviously killing my own Werewolf in the process. So at least I can deal with the Winter Guard somewhat now that they don't have Bob and Weave, they just have the Iron Flesh, which is still great, but I have an opportunity to deal with them here. I pulled my Purebloods into kind of, my Stalkers into kind of more defensive positions, kind of expecting a very strong retaliation against the Pureblood here. Here's where I made a mistake with Fury. I just didn't have enough out by a long shot. I should have riled both of the Stalkers for one. So Phil started to clog things up. I mean, the scenario was really off. You can see up the top a couple of thralls that were created by Alexi. So as Phil was slowly grinding forward, Alexi was creating thralls as she went. Any of the Winter Guard I was killing, she was grabbing the corpse tokens. And in this turn, you can see she's after pushing to a really central position. She's kind of beside the silo in the scoring zone there. So that's really going to cause me trouble with my magic. He couldn't really get an awful lot of damage onto the Pureblood at all, and the Pureblood's sitting in amongst the stones there, so I reckoned I had a shot at the Kodiak on my next turn. So I very much went for that. The Kodiak teleported into the back of the Pureblood teleported into the back of the Kodiak, started pounding on him, but unfortunately just my damage rolls were not good and left him fully functional. He was heavily damaged but still fully functional. Did manage to clear out some of the Winter Guard, so used the Stalker to the top one to spring forward, kill stuff, and then sprint backwards. So Berserk really being quite good there. May have put Ghostly as an Animus on him as well, just to allow him to go through stuff. I can't really recall. So Phil again with the clogging. Starting to push forward. Didn't really do too much damage to the beasts. Other than, obviously, you can see Butcher sitting on the back there on no focus. He charged the Warp Wolf and just completely slammed it. It did take a good bit of focus, more than you might expect. I think he may have been unlucky and missed one of his shots. You can also see up the top the thralls trying to take out the stones. So Phil's really starting to clog the area now, and I still have an awful lot of his army to try and get through. Both my Stalkers are fairly healthy, but it doesn't take a whole lot to kill them. So here you can see I pushed a Stalker in. He trampled across several of the Risen, then managed to get a couple of attacks afterwards into the Kodiak, taking it out. I was kind of unlucky here. I misjudged positioning, and I pulled the Druid Wilder much further forward than she needed. I thought she'd need to be that far forward to keep him within the control range of Kaya. It was just it didn't work as well as I'd hoped. You can see I'm trying to keep the sentry stones back to try and protect the control area, and then I'm starting to move the other sentry stones close to the Butcher just to try and block off charge lanes. So Butcher took out one of those sentry stones, a shifting stone, sorry. Alexia created Risen that were kind of right up in my face just to cause trouble, and I'm starting to look at this situation and think, is there any way I can get at Butcher? And I found a way on this turn. managed to move up around just to make just enough space to get the stalker in on him, and actually caused quite a lot of damage onto Butcher. Brought him down to all bar 2 of his boxes. Sorry, 4 of his boxes, and that was a pretty good result. But Kai is really starting to get jammed on the left side there. So Phil's starting to really clog things up. Kaya couldn't really get anywhere. As I did in the last turn I put Forced Evolution onto the Stalker before it went into Butcher. So this time around I'm trying to see if I can do the same for the next one. So on my turn, that's what I did. Managed to get it into him. He just was able to step forward into Butcher, swung at him, and just completely fluffed. Missed a couple of times, didn't do damage, and I think I managed to take him down to 1 box. So unfortunately, that left Kaya fairly much swinging. Phil took out my last 2 beasts, so Laris and the Stalker, and then Democor stepped in. He managed to get a swing on her. I think even one of the Thralls rolled high on his attack dice and managed to hit her. And well, she's pretty squishy, and that was it. So great game, real slog. I mean, that was into turn 8. Neither of us really got a foothold in the scenario at all. So we had to kind of grind through both armies to try and get assassination runs on the casters. So a really good game, really fun. So thanks for watching, and catch you all next time.